What's up, my peeps? To get started with math today, I'm going to give you guys a quick refresher on how to multiply and divide with decimals. We've done this many times this year, and so this work that you're going to be doing this week will just be review, but it's been a while since we've worked on it in class together, so I'm going to do a quick multiplication problem with decimals and a quick division problem with decimals as a review, and you guys can watch this video as many times as you need to help you with your work this week. So let's get started. Our first problem that we're going to do is our multiplication problem. It's 27 and 2/10 multiplied by 3 and 24 hundredths. The first thing that I like to do is think of these as whole numbers. When you're multiplying with decimals, forget about the decimals until you get to the end. Imagine them as whole numbers. So think of this as 272 multiplied by 324. All you need to worry about doing is lining up your numbers. Don't worry about the decimals. So I want you to imagine that there's like this imaginary wall here. Okay? And you're just going to line up your numbers. So you've got 27.2 or 272. So you line them up with their backs against the walls like this. And we'll go ahead and put the decimal in, even though we're not going to worry about it right now. And we'll put in the second one. Okay. All I focused on doing was lining up the numbers. 2 and 4 are right on top of each other, 7 and 2, and 2 and 3. I'm not worried about the decimals right now. Remember, we're forgetting about them. We're multiplying as if these are whole numbers with their backs against the wall. Okay, so then I'm just going to multiply them. 2 times 4 is 8. 4 times 7 is 28. I write my 8. I carry my 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus another 2 is 10. I keep my numbers nice and lined up. Okay, we're moving on to the next number over. So we're done with that one. Placeholder down here. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 7 is 14. Carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus another 1 is 5. Okay, done with this one now. So 1 placeholder, 2 placeholder. We're moving all the way over here. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 7 is 21. Carry the 2. 2 times 3 is 6, plus another 2 is 8. And I'll add all those together. So 8 plus nothing is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry that 1. 6 plus 4 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. 1, 2, plus 5 is 7. Plus another is 8. And 8. Okay, now I'm going to assume that this is a whole number, right? Because we multiplied them as if they were whole numbers. But I can't forget about my decimals. It is a decimal problem. I do have to go back and put my decimals in. But because I multiplied them as if they were whole numbers, I'm going to start here at the end. Now here's where you have two ways that you can figure out where to put your decimal. And we've talked about both of these ways in class. The first thing you can do is to count the number of digits behind the decimal. So here's my decimal in 27.2, and I've got one number behind the decimal. Here in 3.24, I have two numbers behind the decimal. So I would move my decimal place 1, 2, 3 places to the left. 1, 2, 3. Making this number 88 and 128 thousandths. Another strategy that we've talked about in class is making an estimate before you multiply. So if I go back to my original problem, which was 27.2, I could round 27.2. I could round that to 30. And 3.24, I could round that to 3. And I could make the problem be 30 times 3. Well, I know that 30 times 3 is 90. Okay, so if my estimate is 90, I should get an answer that's close to 90. Well, if I look at 90 and I look at 88 and 128 thousandths, that's really close to 90. So I know that putting my decimal here would make sense. Okay, either of these strategies, whether it's counting the numbers behind the decimal place after you're finished, or making an estimate before you begin, or even afterwards, they're both great strategies. So use whichever one works best for you. Okay, that was our refresher on multiplying decimals. Let's look at a division problem. Okay, so our division problem looks like this. Oops, and I wrote it wrong. I wanted to switch my numbers around. Okay, so we're used to seeing decimal problems look like this a lot. And then we want to go and we want to put it in the box like this. And here's where a lot of us tend to get confused. Okay, the first number is called your dividend and it goes inside your box. The second number is the divisor. It's what this is being divided by and it goes outside of your box. So a lot of you guys, when you move from this to this, you're copying it down like this. These are not the same problem. Okay. You want to put this number inside of the box and this number outside of the box. It's 12 hundredths divided by 2 tenths. Okay, now we're ready to start. This year we've talked about when you're dividing with decimals, you want to always divide by a whole number. Well, 2 tenths is not a whole number. So I want to move this decimal place as far to the right as I need to get a whole number. If I move it one place to the right, now it's behind the 2, this number is now 2 instead of 2 tenths. And I can divide with 2. But whatever I do out here, I need to do in here. So I'll move it over one more time and I'll bring it straight up. Now I don't have to move it anymore. Okay. So now I'm ready to divide. So I'm going to ask myself, well, does 2 go into 0? No, it does not. 0 times 2 is 0. I'll bring down my 1. How many times does 2 go into 1? Well, it can't, so 0. 0 times 2 is 0. 1 take away 0 is 1. Bring down my 2. And now I have 12. Well, how many times is 2 going to go into 12? 2 times 6 is 12, so 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 take away 12 is 0. So for this problem, my answer would be 6 tenths. And you could write it like this, 6 tenths. You could leave off the first 0 and just write it like this as 6 tenths. Or you could leave off the 0 altogether and just do 0.6. Those are all ways of saying 6 tenths. Okay? Just remember that when you're dividing with decimals, you want to actually change this to be a whole number. So move it to the right as many places as necessary to get a whole number. Okay, and I'm going to show you a second example with division because that one can be kind of tricky. Okay. So with multiplication, forget about the decimals until the end. Right? Multiply as if they're whole numbers. You can go back and add the decimals at the end. With division, we want to actually get it to be whole numbers before we start. So, for example, if we had If we had a problem like this, okay, I have 4/10 here and 36 hundredths here. So this problem is 36 hundredths divided by 4/10. I want to get this to be 4, to be a whole number, not 4/10. So how many times do I need to move the decimal to get it to be 4? Well, I just need to move it one time. By putting the decimal behind the 4, now it's a whole number, it's 4. And whatever I do outside, I'll do inside as well. So I'll move one place to the right, just like I did here, and I'll bring it straight up. Okay, now I'm done moving my decimal. I don't have to move it anymore. And I can just do this division problem. Okay, well, is 4 going to go into 0? It is not. 0 times 4 is 0. Bring down my 3. Will 4 go into 3? It cannot. It's too big. So it'll go 0 times. 0 times 4 is 0. Again, subtract. 3 take away 0 is 3. I'll bring this 6 all the way down. Okay, well, how many times is 4 going to go into 36? I know that 4 times 9 is 36, so I'll try 9 up here. 4 times 9 is 36. Subtract. I get 0. So this answer to this problem is 9/10. And again, it can be written like this. 9/10. You can leave off the first 0. Still 9/10. You can leave the 0 off altogether, and it's still 9/10. I don't have to move the decimal because I've already taken care of that before I started. If you guys work on your decimal math this week and you're still struggling, please don't hesitate to send me a private comment on your math checklist on Google Classroom, and we can maybe schedule a Zoom meeting and I can do some practice problems with you just like this, or maybe talk through the problem that you're currently working on through private comments. So don't hesitate to reach out and get help. Yes, we've done it before, but it's been a while and it's perfectly okay to forget. So if you find that you just have forgotten how to do multiplication and division of decimals, it's 100% okay. Just reach out, ask for help. I'll get back to you and we'll make it work. Okay? Thanks for listening, guys. Watch this video as many times as you need to.